Johnson, and this is Focus on Liberia. Hit it! From Cape Mount to Cape Palmer, Mount Nimba to Atlantic Ocean, Obomi Hills to Boakai, to educate, elevate, and promote. Talk about home affairs, in diaspora, current affairs, reliable information, history, talking about culture, politics, education, entertainment, business, sports, advertisement, articulation. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. From Monday to Sunday.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of On Point. If it's Sunday evening, 4 p.m., it is On Point. And obviously, this is political season. We are hyped, ready to go. We'll discuss the political issues in Liberia, post-election feelings. We have some great panelists here who will be giving you their opinions. Now that the election is over, we are no longer going to have people hiding behind a title called neutrality or independence. We are now either a UPN or you are a sedition. We have other parties who form a coalition. So they also will stand with their nomination, they will stand with their endorsement for who they are, because we are who we are. When we say something, we mean it. So today we are here with some of the great minds as usual. We've been here from the beginning, and we promise you that we're going to be here to the end. Share the show for us. We are here to discuss. We want you to join the show. We want you to have an active part. If you are a member of the Unity Party and you just won, we want you here. We want to hear your side, how it feels to win. If you are a member of the CDC like I am, we need to talk about it. How do we feel? Where do we go wrong? Where do we go right? And all of these things. Let me introduce our panelists first, then we introduce the topic. Mr. Jimmy Eastman, Mr. Michael Padmore, my co-host here that have been here with me for the longest. Mr. Padmore, welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. It's good to be here. Election day came and went. The Honorable David Brown Lasana answered the call, and we are here today. Liberia is peaceful. Liberia is experiencing a transition, and it's very, very exciting to see my country grow. And so I'm here to discuss that and many more. So thank you so much for having me on here.
Great. Mr. Aliu Kamara, the winner here, the heavyweight champion, newly to be crowned January 24, 2024. Mr. Kamara, welcome, and how does it feel? You look tired. It looks like you are worn out. It was a long, long fight, 15 rounds, and then we went to another round. But after all and done, you came on top.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you for having me, Mr. Gayman, as always. Great to be on Focus on Liberia. I just wanted to remind the audience. I mean, somebody sent me a clip today of one podcast person who was talking about, oh, Aliyu has been running his mouth on social media, and now let's see if the Unity Party will recognize him. Well, let me just say this on Focus on Liberia. I hope you're watching. Aliyu supported George Weah without caring about whether or not he will recognize. And that's how Aliyu is. I just want a peaceful Liberia, a safe Liberia, and a prosperous Liberia. A Liberia I can go to and drive one of my cars with ease and not be worried of being attacked by anyone. That's all I need. Those of you who want the government job, go ahead and have it. But again, thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to the discussion.
Great. And let me buttress what Mr. Kamara just said that I have been a proponent of George Weah's presidency, the CDC, PAPD, for the past 6 years. And I have never met George Weah in person. Don't know who he is. I don't think he knows who I am. I only love the PAPD and the policy. So it is true. It is possible for you to support somebody without looking for anything in return. We all do it. Mr. Jimmy Eastman, welcome.
Yes, how well do you hear me?
We can hear you.
Very, very good.
Just one
It's a privilege to be on with you, gentlemen. Huh?
Go ahead.
It's a privilege to be on with you guys. I like to believe that the election is over. Though I am hearing some murmurs from various, but not unsubstantiated. But I believe Liberians, after an election, they need to move on from the polarity, the polarization. They need to be on to what is on the agenda and what can we achieve together. I strongly believe in that. I believe that this political fragmenting is only good for elections, but when it comes to the building of a nation, we need a united front. So I look at this thing now as a united front. Whatever we want to achieve, we have to do it together. We can't do one without. So let's onward march. That's where I come from.
Great. Mr. Elvis Morris.
Yeah, sorry, I had to turn on my AC real quick. Yeah, I mean, it's great. We've been saying it. I think we saw the president's speech. I think we'll get into it. He conceded gracefully, and I think it's time to move on and be in the opposition and hold these guys' feet to the fire. So we're all excited about that.
Great. Ladies and gentlemen, do us our favor and even our panelists, please share the show. Let's get interactive. Listen, this is the more critical part of the election. I've always said, one of my professor, the Honorable Michael Dukakis always said, elections are not won on the day of election. If you wait to win your election on the day of election, you have lost the battle. Elections are won before, in the trenches, in the field, and in the organizational stages. This is where we are. We need to start a new government on the right footing. There is no such thing as honeymoon when you are in a country where we are poor, we have nothing. We need investors. We need all Liberians to be on board. So this is, if we want to win, this is the time to win, not to wait and let Joseph Boakai fall on his face. Then you come on and want to be a hero. If you're going to help, this is the time you need to help. If you're going to criticize, this is the time you want to criticize to make sure that it happens, that he takes off on the right footing. So let's go into some of the topics that we're going to be discussing today. Boakai win 2023 elections. Okay. And the next. Weah Concedes defeat. Preaches post-election sermon at the church. UP denied press statement vowing to audit the Weah government. Eugene Nambe takes blame for CDC defeat. So, ladies and gentlemen, here we are. We are saying here we have a plate full. Boakai wins elections. What did UP do right or the CDC do wrong? Were the voter actually voting for Joseph Boakai or voting against President Weah? Mr. Padmo, you are an analyst. You are fair. You are firm. You got integrity. Tell us, based on your worldly experience, based on what you're hearing, based on what you experience, based on what you know on the ground, you have a vested interest in the Republic of Liberia. You are a businessman. You got families. You got scholarship foundation. So, any government that comes to the power, you support. Talk to me. What did this election say about us, about the campaign, about the candidates?
Well, first I'll speak to the most inspiring part of these elections. The most inspiring part of these elections was that the Liberian people showed that if they elect you, no matter how popular you appear, no matter how much love they show you, if you do not deliver, they will leave you by the wayside. That was the most inspiring thing I got out of these elections. The most disappointing thing that I got out of these elections was that sometimes when you do want to leave what you are disappointed with, sometimes you don't have many good options. And so you got to go with the lesser of two evils. And I look forward to the day that we will have better choices. We'll have more than just the lesser of two evils. We'll actually have real hope, real change versus evil. So those are the two things I took from it.
Okay, well, you still didn't answer the question. What did the UP people do right? What did CDC do right? What did UP do wrong? What did CDC do wrong?
Okay, so what did UP do right?
It's a loaded question because we are saying the second part of that is, did they vote for Boakai or they voted against Weah?
Okay, so what did UP do right? The very first thing that UP did right was to get out of the CPP. That was the very first thing UP did right, because UP was not going to come out standard bearer of the CPP. They recognized that early and they jumped out of the CPP. That was the first thing they did right. The second thing that the United Party did right is they did everything possible to separate themselves from Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. They made Ellen Johnson Sirleaf the corrupt one. So when you're talking about the United Party that was corrupt, they say, oh, that Ellen. Then when you talk about the United Party that built the roads, that brought the money in, that did all the good things, they say, oh, that Boakai. So that's the two things I think that the United Party did well. They did well.
Okay, that's why they're voting. Did they vote for Boakai or they voted against?
I think it was a mixture of both. I think people voted for Boakai genuinely, but equally there were a lot of people that voted because they did not want Weah. Anything but Weah. That was their mantra. Anything but Weah. And so I think it was both. I think if you ask me who talking over the finish line, it was the people who said anything but Weah. That's who talking over the finish line.
Great. Ms. Alio.
Yes, sir. So
Go ahead.
The minute I'm going to ask the question, sir.
Go ahead.
So this whole thing about lesser of two evil, I always hear these kinds of statements from the losers, usually the losers. I don't hear these statements from George Weah Group. I don't hear these statements from Joseph Boakai Group. I hear it from the ultimate losers. Not to say we didn't have a lot of options, but we had 20 people in the race. Mr. Gayman, is that a lie? So was Was Mr. Comey not a better option? Was he not a good option? Was Mr. Tewan Gonglo not a good option? So I'll answer your question short. I wouldn't waste too much of your time to say the people did not vote Joseph Boakai, but they voted against George Weah. The intention there is to diminish Joseph Boakai's hard work, what he put in place to get him to where he is right now. Okay, we had all of these guys in the race. Joseph Boakai still came neck to neck with George Weah. In the first round, were they only voting against George Weah to select Joseph Boakai? Why didn't they select Tewan Gonglo? He was one of the best options. Mr. Coming from Kokolo, he's obviously the most qualified, according to them. Why didn't they select him in the first round? So the argument about the Joseph Boakai only became president because the people don't want George Weah, that's the only reason. Pretty much is a lazy argument, and we hear this from the losers all of the time. And the reason why the thing that Joseph Boakai and the United Party did right was, like you said initially, they did not wait for the Diet meeting to begin to operate as a political party. They started fighting the CDC from 2018. And that's what you do to stay relevant.
Great. Mr. Eastman.
Yes. You hear me loud and clear?
Yes.
Do you hear me? Okay. I have to push back against Mr. Kamara. I'm totally surprised to hear that, because everybody recognized even before the election that this is actually a referendum on the CDC administration. All the things they have done, whether they have upheld the law, what if there was transparency, what if there was economic progress during these last 5-6 years? Do we see a difference? Are we worse than the question was asked, are we worse than we were before? Are we worse than 6 years ago? So it was definitely for him not to even admit that was part of the equation. I think there's some disingenuity there, but that's not here or there. The idea is, Boakai has won, and with the plethora of people in the race, and all the conditions and the mishaps and the positives and the negatives, he's come out the victor by a very thin margin. And now there are a lot of expectations, and now we can begin to see whether these things can be accomplished with this administration, and that it will be any better than the last administration. I think that's what's on the table right now.
Great. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Eastman is having a signal problem that he's freezing once in and out. Mr. Padmore, let's go to number 2 here. I'm rushing through this because I want also take some calls to hear from the folks. It said Weah Concedes defeat, right? Did Weah raise the bar for being a president who lost but were very gracious in his exit?
Well, I will say this. When I woke up Friday morning and I opened up my phone, I saw joint security forces on the street of Monrovia. It was a very chilling sight. And I made a post on Facebook. And I said, Omen Boakai needs to show leadership, and he needs to speak to his supporters and urge them, no matter the outcome, they should be calm. And if they are not satisfied with the outcome, they will take the necessary steps. I did not make that post about George Weah because I didn't see George Weah as somebody I could talk to and will reason with in that manner. I'm saying this because the day was not over when George Weah came out, made called personally, made a personal call to Ambassador Boakai, congratulating him, called and spoke to his supporters, giving them encouragement, and spoke to the nation, conceding defeat. And I will tell you something. There are many things that George Weah did that I am very, very upset about. And hopefully, I hope he's held accountable for those things. But one shining moment for George Weah was when he made this happen. After George Weah conceded, the tension in the country just vanished. Everybody just took a deep breath. And I think it was immensely mature of him, and I said George Weah chose Liberia. And I think it was one of his best moves. One of his best. When he did that, he really raised the bar. Going forward, when presidents are defeated, or when it looks like there is no more hope in the elections, people will reference George Weah and say, you need to be like George Weah. When he saw the numbers, he came out and gave his concession speech. And people will reference that. And I think it was really good. It was one of his best. Now, your last question was, is Weah coming back in 2029? Why not? Why can't Weah come back in 2029? What was United Party's stake in being the head of opposition? United Party demanded to be the standard bearer of CPP. And when they didn't get it, they left. What was the main purpose they put down? They said, because we got the numbers. In 2017, we have 400,000 people vote for us. George Weah had 800,000 people vote for him. Who tell me in the entire opposition, who can compete? Come January 22nd, CDC becomes the major opposition party automatically. And they become the forerunner for 2029. They do. The only question here is, will George Weah run? That is the only question. Because if nobody else, I believe nobody else, the way the CDC is built, nobody else can take up after. So the only question here now is, will George Weah run? If George Weah runs, George Weah will be a very formidable force in 2029. One of the best things CDCs can do is be an opposition party. That was CDC is at its best when they are opposition. Then they're not a very good ruling party. I'll be honest with you. But in opposition, CDC is at its very best. We are talking about a margin of not greater than 1% at the most. After you count all the votes, when you bring the votes in from Grand Cru, we are going to be looking at less than 1% win. George Weah still carries a formidable force of people behind him. And if he chooses to, he will wield that. In 2029, he will be a major force. Whether he endorses somebody or whether he chooses to come up himself. 2017, Joseph Boakai was massively defeated. Everybody thought Joseph Boakai was done. Yeah, 6 years later, if he can kind of defeat Weah, why Weah can come out 6 years from now and defeat him? Come on, huh?
Okay, I think last week, Mr. Before you can land on this, Aliyu Kamara made a bold statement. He says, Liberia, from what he sees, have become a two-party state. And he believed the old party of the Unity Party, the oldest party in these particular elections, and the CDC going forward, those will be the two formidable party like the Democrat and the Republican Party here in the United States, based on the age of the CDC. They got youth, they got the future on their side. I'll land on that before I go to Elvis.
I don't think so. I think we will see. I think there's a high possibility that we see Unity Party for the CDC 2029. But I think that's where it ends. I really do. I think that's where it ends. Unity Party really has not, they have not grown any leaders. They have not grown any leaders. That is why Joseph Boakai is running almost at the age of 80. Because Unity Party failed to groom people. Ellen failed to groom people. We really thought we were going to see Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, based on the age of she and Joseph Boakai, groom the next group of leaders. And we didn't see it. That's why Joseph Boakai running. And since he's done that, who have you seen them groom in all the people that the United Party call heroes are not United Party partisans. They call Darius Dillon hero. He's a Liberty Party. They call Yombi Kanga hero. She's a Liberty Party. They call Amara Conan hero. He's not a United Party man. So all those people that they call heroes, they're not United Party partisans. And it just shows that they have not groomed anybody.
Great.
So that's why I will land on.
Mr. Kamara.
Yes, sir.
I think you're coming to me, Mr. Gayman.
Well,
Sorry, I was off for a little bit.
Go in. Okay, Mr. Morris. We on number 2 here. We want to leave time for calls. We are saying here Weah Concedes defeat. Weah raised the bar now in Africa.
Yes, of course. Like I said on the show the other day, you have countries, you have Sierra Leoneans who are talking about elections. People are praising our elections, comparing Weah to Marabio, saying that at least President Weah can accept defeat. He didn't rig these elections. He took democratic steps. They're really praising him in places like Nigeria. They're praising him in Kenya. I'm watching the newsreel of the elections, results, and people are actually praising that an African leader will actually lose and accept his defeat. But I have to agree with Mr. Kamara on the point that I think it's likely that we'll have a political duopoly in Liberia, where you have 2 political parties who swing in between, where power will swing, between the 2 parties. I think that's a healthy thing for our democracy. I think the CPP, or what might likely come out to be the ANC. I don't want to predict anything here, but it might be something of a merger with the CDC. And if I was advising President Weah and the higher echelons of the CDC party, I would tell them to closely look at Cummings, have conversations with him, and see if President Weah doesn't wish to run for a second term in 2029, to bring some of the expertise, some of the organizational skills that he has, and bring some of that competence that he has to the CDC. And likewise, the CDC will give him a strong base, a grassroots movement that he can, come on top and really usher in a good new CDC with competent leadership, and a strong connection to the rule of law, which I think Cummings would benefit the CDC if Cummings was the head of the ticket. I think President Weah has made his mark, and I think if he's walking hand in hand with Cummings, especially in the Southeast, where he's already beloved and Cummings has roots there, President Weah can give him a strong foot in the Southeast, and then do his work in the other places. But I think what President Weah really wants to do now is to be a diplomat. I think he wants to use this concession as a way to enlighten other leaders in Africa, to go out there and tell leaders that it's not the end of the world. Even if you lose political office, there's work for you in the diplomatic field in Africa. Go out there and spread a message of democracy and pass the torch, because I think coming back will be even more difficult and more critical, than his first term. So I think if you can groom somebody like a Cummings, who won't need much grooming, or at least give him that blessing, embrace him and embrace the ANC, there will be no, the man not this, the man not that, that weakness, or some of the weakness that President Weah had. They won't, they can't attack Cummings for it, So, and Cummings' weaknesses, which was not having a strong base, he won't have that weakness anymore. It'll be very, very formidable if Cummings is there. And then lastly, when you look at the Unity Party, people talk about Amara Conan. I think he's competent in a lot of ways, but in terms of the political space, I don't know if there's much of a future for him or a strong base for him in terms of national politics. Same can be said for Jeremiah Crown because he's a vice president now. If he's lucky or unlucky enough to have to take over the mantle of the presidency, will he have enough votes and enough connections nationwide to win? Nimba is a strong political force, but nationally you need more than that to win an election. So for me, I think it will be a duopoly for the next few cycles. But overall, I praise President Weah for conceding, and I think if I was advising him, he should step aside, focus on spreading democracy over Africa, lecturing other leaders on how to concede gracefully, and along with his football stardom, will continue to be very popular on the continent. Thank you.
Good. Mr. Eastman, President Weah Concedes, the ECOWAS says not people are focusing only on the concession, but the people they are looking at the totality of the electoral process. President Weah came to the United Nations and promised that George Weah will conduct the freest of elections. It will be transparent, it will be credible, and we are inviting the whole world to come and see if I fail, I will concede. And he lived up to that. And today, the whole world is praising him. I got some letters here from leaders around the world. One that was comical to me.
Share that letter.
Eh?
Share the letter.
The letter is in the chat room. This came in from President Tinubu of Nigeria. Okay, and what I said this is ironic is that he said the office of the president-elect, blah, blah, blah. Then he went on and said, oh, Lord, what is that? President Tinubu congratulated the government and people of the Republic of Liberia on the successful conduct of the Liberian presidential election. The president also congratulated the president-elect, Joseph Boakai, who won the mandate of the people in joining him to unite the country and build a popular support expressed through the ballot box to deliver good governance to the people of Liberia. President Tinubu commended President Weah for demonstrating uncommon leadership by conceding the election and averting any form of social political crisis. The president says Weah's great act of democratic sportsmanship is exemplary, particularly at a time in West Africa where democracy is under attack by malign actors who are bent on subverting the will of the people. I said this is funny because this is a man who just stole an election.
Exactly.
People are trying to subvert the will of the people, Mr.
Look, quick, just a little caveat. That guy won his election with 36% of the vote. Only 36% of the vote in Nigeria. He became president.
Mr. Eastman.
Well, they say a simple majority. Let's talk about the magnanimity of President Weah. President Weah has always been somebody who promotes the peace. In 2005, there were allegations that he was cheated. And when his people wanted to show their disdain or their discontent with the results, he told them to be calm. He's always calmed his base when it came to violence or agitation out of the norm. He has always been able to calm them. He's been that way. So for me, it wasn't surprising that he comes out and calms his base again, because this was his nature. It is exemplary because in Africa, I was with some Nigerians today, some top government Nigerian people, and they all had praises, and they were exclaiming how the elections were rigged, how the votes, they have an automated system, or how they went to a manual system, how they talked at length about the things that went wrong in their elections. And so this is not only President Weah should get the acclaim, but also Liberians. Because what did we show? We show that, yeah, we love you, like they really love President Weah. He's very, very popular still. But if you're not living up to certain expectations, well, then we'll exercise our franchise. I think this is beautiful. This is a growing democracy that is exemplary throughout Africa. Now maybe we should expect people to be a little more conscientious about their behavior, their transparency, and their ability to rule. We have he has demonstrated an illustrious democratic posture, and him coming back, why not? People still love him. It was just a narrow majority. And if we really analyze the politicking at the time, had it not been for the switch of Prince Johnson and the Nimba portion that he carried with him, we might be talking about something completely different. So I believe, he's still popular as he was before, and he has set a beautiful example of what democracy is supposed to look like.
Great. Mr. Kamara?
Yes, sir.
I don't know if you spoke on this before, but the expectation now for the Unity Party is, are you going to be as tolerant as this president was or is? Are you capable of running an election free, fair, transparent, where if you lose, you don't feel entitled, like the gentleman from ECOWAS said? This conception by President Weah, it is so critical. When you look in the region, people are thwarting the Constitution. I'm coming 1 minute. People are thwarting the Constitution for third term in Ivory Coast, in Guinea, all of these places. This is not happening. Mr. Kamara, your take on the conception and the impact it has on Africa.
Well, let me first of all say this. Oh, that's a long thing talking. Let me first of all say that the statement that I was addressing from Patmore has something to do with the fact that Joseph Boakai was chosen because of lesser of two evils. The Liberian people did not have to go to two evils. They could have chosen Cummins. They could have chosen Taiwan. If those are not,
you said that before. What happened?
I was. He spoke something a bit English, but let me say this. Yeah. So Joseph Boakai has always been a popular man. We saw that in the elections in 2005.
Where did he go? Did somebody take him out?
Who?
What happened?
Somebody took you off.
Where is Mr. Kamara?
No, Kamara is on. Go ahead, Kamara.
Okay, thank you. So Joseph Boakai has always been a force in the Liberian politics since it started after the war. 2005, Joseph Boakai played a pivotal role in giving Ellen Johnson Sirleaf the LOFA and the Western Cluster. In 2005, Joseph Boakai would come up with nearly 500,000 votes in 2017. All right. So to say that Joseph Boakai they were just lucky and because people don't want Joe, that's a way to discredit people's effort. And I just wanted to clarify that. I did not say that there were non-Liberians who did not support George Weah because of his behavior. There were citizens who even supported Joe Boakai in these elections. So I'm not saying that it did not happen at all. I am saying that making an emphasis on this, the intention is clear and we know why. Look, these elections, if you say they were free and fair, I said they were free. I don't know if they were 100% fair, unless we're trying to say that the ANC were lying. Okay, that there were not some little scammages here and there. The election, we know that some things did happen. That is why they had to decide to make a decision as to whether to make a rerun at one polling place in Nimba County. We're talking about 24 in Grand Creek County. Those were the only ones that were discovered. However, they may not have been significant to change the result, but you see how close they came. Very close. They came that close. It could be as a result of what they did that brought them that close. But to just blankly commend the CDC, no. This job was done by the National Elections Commission. The CDC did everything in its power to cheat. That is why the Unity Party was very vigilant, because the Unity Party saw the problems in the first round. Did you know that several thousands of the people that voted in FOIA for Thomas Fala actually came from across the border in both Guinea and Sierra Leone? Okay, so during the second round, those people were stopped. Why you think Joseph Boakai number went up in Lofaka in the second round? So Tinubu can sit in Nigeria and make it on a statement, but we know what's happening in Liberia. All right? All in all, George Weah had to concede. When you lose, you concede. What did you expect George Weah to do? Now to say that somebody, turned something, other countries in West Africa wanted to do this aversion and all that, George Weah tried through referendum. He tried. He wanted to reduce the term to 5 years, to blindfold the people. If they have voted for that referendum, George would have had the opportunity to run 2 more times. All right? So he played his game. It's just that the Unity Party and other political parties in the country did not allow him. All right? But we are glad that the election was peaceful. We are glad that, there were no uprising. And we're glad everything is going good. And I give a lot of this to the Liberian people. We saw the Liberian people challenge the government, making sure that everything was going to go free and fair. So I give all the credit that Tinubu was talking about the CDC, I give it to the voters of Liberia.
Thank you. Mr. Kamara, I did not expect anything better of you. When something goes right in Liberia, we expect people to say if it goes right. You say it wasn't the president, but it was the elections commission. But then you all in the same breath says this was George Weah elections commissioners, and they were going to steal the election to give it to George. So how can you talk for the both sides?
The people, the voters stood their ground.
Listen. The voters were not in the count, the final tally room. The woman who have come out like Fromoya did. Fromoya came out and pronounced Joe Weah the winner, then turned around and said, "Oh no, I made a mistake. That number belonged to Ellen Joseph Boakai." So she could have done that. She didn't do that. So we got to get credit where credit is due. Now let's go to number 3. Let's go to number 3 here. Let's go to the Sermon on the Mount. Mr. Eastman, can we listen to that sermon, please, if we have it?
Let me see if I can get it there.
I'm glad and excited to be here in church.
It's in the band.
And it's good that we gather here today in full.
Did you put it in the brand or the banner? Where was it?
I'm glad that I made that decision to come to church today. You see, I was just looking through the Bible, as of course you know I'm familiar with the Bible. We've been listening to
Mr. Gayman.
Revelation and what have you.
Mr. Gayman.
All the pastors, the bishops, the clergy people, they told us our revelation. They said revelation, they spoke to us, they gave a vision and all that we have to listen to. We listen to them. Some pastors told us in the first round we're going to win. Some pastors told us in the second round we'll win. But that's the revelation. And they were right. What did we? What was that revelation? So yes, the pastor said that you are going to win. But if you listen very clearly to Paul, your faith cannot constitute a victory. Faith will what? Constitute anything you want to do. So the pastors that told us that it declared, God said you were going to be the winner. But we have to put in the work so our belief in our faith will be concentrated. And where we are today, we will not blame God for the word that came forth. We also should not blame ourselves. This is a learning curve. Now moving forward, so we can be stronger together and be united.
So, Mr. Padmore, the Sermon on the Mount, the president is saying to his flock, as the scripture said, Paul said to his disciple, you can have faith, but faith without work is a dead faith. You are not entitled. You have to go out there. I think what James Brown that says, if you don't work, you won't eat. You can't sit supinely like some folks that feel like I am entitled. It is my turn. The pastor here is saying, Mr. Padmore, he is saying faith without work is dead.
Yeah, man. Look, so we are listening. I'm listening to the president. I commend him for coming out. I commend him for coming out. I commend him for going to church. I commend him for speaking to his people. George Weah is doing the work that needs to get done. People are listening to that. Look, the first thing that happened when the election results were announced, there was a lot of disappointment within the CDC. Then we started to see inner wrangling. People started pointing at each other. You know, some people say, oh, you shouldn't have Brock Costa. Some people say, oh, you shouldn't have appointed Eugene Nangbe. Some people say, oh, you shouldn't have done this. What George Weah is doing right now is bringing calm to his people. He said, don't stop blaming each other. You know, just stop blaming each other. We should take this moment, use it as a learning curve to unite. That meant talking sense. Look, let me be honest with you. I don't usually expect sense from George Weah. I'm gonna be honest, but it meant talking sense. He's talking sense. It makes a lot of sense. And people overlooking it right now, people are laughing right now, they're poking fun, but the people, the reactions and the seditions are listening to this man. And be careful. John Weah is not done. If anybody thinks John Weah is done, you are really, really playing with yourself. George Weah is not done. He's not done. You saw how I haven't seen that church packed like that since the first time I opened it. As if to say people wanted to hear from him. So they woke up Sunday morning, they got dressed, and they went to church to hear from him. You know, I'm telling you, I am surprised. I'm surprised by his stature. I'm surprised by how he's composed and speaking to his people. You know, I'm really surprised. I'm really surprised with it. So I would like. I mean, we call it the Sermon on the Mount, because Sermon on the Mount. I don't believe this was the Sermon on the Mount. I do not believe that. Yes, I do not
Uh,
believe this was the Sermon on the Mount. I don't believe this is the end. That's what I mean
Right.
by that.
okay, Mr. Eastman, are we looking
Yeah.
at?
Mhm.
Can you hear me, Mr. Eastman?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, here we are. Are you looking at the last kick of a dime ball, or you are looking at a genuine giant that rally his crowd, getting ready for battle, and saying, "Listen, let's reload. Don't despair. This is the time not to despair, not to cry, but this is the time for us to restock and go."
Well, I'm seeing flashes of leadership here, admittedly, especially after realizing defeat. It takes a leader to motivate the people, to bring back their sense of pride, their sense of purpose, and that let them know that their existence is still important. So this is it appears that sometimes we have moments when we shine, and a lot of times in adversity is when you see the best come out of us. That's very typical. So right now he's saying all the right things for his people to garner the strength to move on. And I definitely believe if he wants to, in the next 6 years, but depend on the way he postures himself until the next election, he could easily come back. He still has a strong base, and let's remember, there he got almost 50% of the votes. So the electorate will be very, very keen on this administration. That any mishap, it could go either way. So I think he's doing all the right things. I'm not. No one knows the future, but I believe by his statements right now, the way he's talking to his people, he's making all the right um, moves for a comeback.
Great. Mr. Kamara,
Yes, sir.
here we are listening to a sermon. You are listening to a leader who just lost an election in 20 with last 24 hours, bringing the folks together, talking to them, encouraging them, giving them courage, giving them what it takes to survive. Is this um, let's say a sermon of like we used to say here in the United States, Bill Clinton was a comeback kid. Are we looking at something similar here?
What I can say to you is that Mr. Eastman, Mr. Palmer, Mr. Morris probably will be the best suited people to embrace this thing that Josh Weah did today. As you can see and hear, the excitement is huge for George Weah. For me, George Weah cannot tell me anything that would make me worry or not worry. Normally, he goes to the church, he dig in, he attacks opposition, he attacks anyone who ever criticizes him. All of a sudden, now he lost. Now he's a reconciliator. But all in all, it's a good thing. What I can tell you, though, is that the Unity Party is arranging, looking for the best and the brightest of Liberians, regardless of your political sway, whether you're from the ANC. We don't know if the ANC will be willing to work with us, so we'll just give them a shot. But whether you're from the CDC, whether you're from the LP, whether you're neutral or not, Joseph Baka is currently listing the brightest of people. A committee is already on the way to do that. Americana is a part of that committee to find academicians and other scholars to take this country forward. as we speak. That's what's going on.
Good. Mr. Elvis here. Elvis Morris. Uh, uh, Mr. Aliu Kamara scares me. To be very frank with you, he scares me. Because as an opposition, a person who say I'm going to hit the ground running, you think he will have a file folder already of qualified people that have been background checked, have been clear, ready to hit the ground running. He's telling me now they just put a committee together and they are looking for folks. Isn't this don't this bother you that this man who says he was ready when he hit the ground running, he had a team. Now they are looking for academicians. They are talking about Liberia need management. They may talk about academics, academicians. Amara Connor is going looking for academic. All this year, 6 years, this man been in opposition. He telling me now they just set up a committee. Talk to me.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Gayman. But before I even get to that point, let me just touch on something lightly. People are talking about why did George Weah concede? Was it because he wanted amnesty from prosecution? And I laugh and I ask myself this question: why did the United States sanction Prince Johnson? Gave a strong warning that if anybody associated with Prince Johnson, they too will, could face prosecution or sanctions themselves. And it was peculiar that Joseph Boakai, who was openly, engaged with Prince Johnson politically, was never, there was never threats made to him that he would be sanctioned if his government came to power for associating with Prince Johnson. A lot of people felt like that was tying this president's hands behind his back. Although ultimately I agree with his decision not to get in a political marriage again with Prince Johnson. And even not doing so, he barely lost. But the point that I'm making is when you look at people who are talking about, because a lot of these UPS are so hell bent on President, we are going to jail, they want to see him locked up, they want to see him prosecuted. But if you have a man as your vice president who siphoned off $1 million to his personal clinic, only turned it over when he got caught and knew that the government was going to come after him, try to wipe his hands of it and just say, "Oh, I give it to you, I'll take it." You have Prince Johnson, who is in the back, who has been alleged of pay for play, alleged of murdering people on camera, murdering innocent people. So if Joseph Boyka is going to come in here and act like he's the man that's going to clean up the quote unquote mess of corruption, where you have some very corrupt and very unscrupulous character all around you, and you're going to try to set an example with George Weah, that's where I think the problem was going to come from. And that's why I've said it on the platform before. Everybody was up in arms. How can I say that? But if you can't take the own speck, the speck that's in your own eye, and you're trying to look at the beam that's in your neighbor's eye, you have people around you who, in your immediate vicinity, who is very corrupt, who are even murderers, or you want to go after George Weah. And I think these are coming from the rank and file members of the UP who just hate this president and want to see him behind bar at all costs. When you're talking about, finding the best and brightest, look, I'm sure there are a lot of Liberians and people of Liberian descent who are graduating colleges every year and working in a professional field and doing quite well. But when we talk, every country, when we look at football, every country has their golden generation. Brazil, when they have Ronaldo, Ronaldinho, those guys, like Liberia, when they have people like George Weah and Diba and other people. We had our golden generation when it came to Ellen Johnson, when it came to quote unquote competent, qualified people. She put perhaps the dream team together of Liberians. So when you're talking about Joseph Boyka bringing academics, I don't even know how you can use it, but I would say academics, bringing people who are well qualified technocrats. Ellen did that. And then when she brought them, she didn't just bring them, but she brought them with a lot of international help, a lot of international goodwill. So they had the budget to go along with their technical skills. And we saw how that turned out. After 12 years, George Weah won a massive landslide against the former UP government. So, Why got bringing all these people in? Hey, maybe they're a new breed of Liberians that we've never seen before, on since Ellen time, and they're gonna come in and do so much more than what Ellen Johnson said with all her experience and all the people that she brought could do. So I don't buy that for a second. I think raising money would be a key factor in terms of doing the things that you want to do. People having competent people is one thing. Having the resources to accomplish the things that you want to accomplish is a whole nother thing. And this whole thing with Amar Corner, what is he going to do? Is he going to be a senator at the same time working in Joseph Boykai's government instead of holding it accountable? That's not what his position is. So unless he's not going to take his seat and be a independent voice to hold his government in check, he's going to be somebody that's going to be working hand in hand with the government. And I think that's what we're seeing now. Maybe he's working for the Senate pro tem position, but I don't think he's going to get it anytime soon because I think the House will, still have more people who will be in opposition to the UP, government rather than, they having a majority in the Senate. Thank you.
Mr. Padmore, we are going to the number 4 here is the press statement. Like Mr. Morris said, there's this fake news going around on social media that Joseph Boakai, when he takes office, he's going to go after President Weah and everybody else, and he's going to audit everybody and those responsible. And yet, and still, folks are saying, just like he said, we want to see first the composition of his administration. And one of the vestiges of the Ellen government that we are talking about is nepotism. President Salih said she hired all her children because they were duly qualified. So nepotism has no place in her government. Has Joseph Boakai learned something from that, or he's going to bring his son Jojo and his nephew Kalakoli and all of these guys? So now, Kabakoli. So now here we are. Can we put that statement up, please, if we have it? Mr. Eastman?
Okay. Yeah.
But be talking why he's doing it.
Yeah, why he's doing that. Well, the statement here is the Unity Party came out and they were very categorical, and they said there is fake news going around on the social media accusing them, and I'm going to pull it up here. Okay. So for immediate release, Monrovia, Liberia, November 19, 2023, the Unity Party has received news of a fake statement attributed to its standard bearer and president-elect of Liberia, His Excellency Joseph Newman Boakai, making rounds on various social media platforms. The Unity Party clarified that purported policy statement on corruption and all its content, which appears to particularly target the outgoing Weah administration, is false and misleading. The UP wishes to, however, reiterate that the president-elect remain fully committed to the campaign promises made in tackling corruption, but not to target individuals. Your take?
Well, so before that, there was a statement that crossed the wires.
Yes.
Somebody actually put it in my inbox, and it seemed to come from Unity Party. And basically, it was a manifesto on how on day one, Unity Party was going to crack down on corruption, and that they were going to audit the Weah government, and they were going to take decisive action. And then we saw this rebuttal or clarification from Amos Twe, the Secretary General of Unity Party, saying that statement is not from Unity Party. So I mean, I don't know. They say enough for them. Unity Party. Yeah, but Unity Party. You can't always believe them. They're not the most credible people on the planet. Yeah, they're conniving, they're manipulative, they're deceitful, And when you hold into it, they say, "Oh, that's just politics," So it is what it is. I'm glad if they did write it, I'm glad they felt the heat, and I'm glad they came back and they threw it out. Somebody posted yesterday, one of United Party supporters. I haven't seen even a partisan, but when you win, they say a winner has many family members, and the loser is an orphan, something like that. So somebody came and posted out and said that they would love to see the GMB government do everything possible to make sure that Nathaniel McGill and Bill Torre do not take their seats because they were indicted by the U.S. government. And I don't usually do this, but I went on that person post, and I said to them, how can you do that and it not affect Prince Johnson? It's like thinking,
what a smart response. Very, very smart.
People are not thinking, but that's what it is. Look, running for elections, playing the politics, winning elections is one thing. Governance.
Right.
Governance is what we are looking for to see in United Party. And we CDC learned a very tough lesson when it came to governance and the people. And so we'll see how United Party will respond. We'll see whether United Party will have this pomp and pageantry inauguration while the country is broke and people haven't taken pay, or will they have a little smaller program, take their swearing in for little or nothing, and begin their work? We'll see. We'll see.
Mr. Pap, if I may just add this. One of the things I'm looking forward to see is the the turnover notes, as they call it. And we just have to remember what we had in our reserves when this CDC government took over, and we want to see what they would leave in the reserve when they hand over to the United Party. If it's somewhere around $300 million or even more than that, that's double what they had there before. If people are going to accuse this government of stealing all the country money, when Ellen Johnson got all the billions from international community and she only left 150 million, who have barely any support from the international community, if he can double that or even exceed that, that's a win in my book in terms of putting the country in a better financial state than he made it. But again, we'll wait to see. We'll continue. I just want to add that little piece of information.
And we'll wait to see. That's what we'll end with.
Mr. Eastman, and this is the problem. Listen, this is Liberia's problem. When I remember when they put the intellectual team together to delve into Liberia reconciliation and the cause of the coup, some of the folks were saying they are going to do an autopsy beginning 1979 to what led up to the coup. And there was a segment of the Liberian public that said, no, if you really want to delve into the issues of Liberia and be thorough, let's go back to the beginning of time. And let's come back and do a complete autopsy. Here, we have over 200 audit reports done by the Ellen Johnson government, headed by John Molu and everybody else, indicting many people, including Admiral Conant. And those 200 indictments, audit reports, is still on the Justice Minister's desk. And now, unscrupulous people are saying, no, this government, forget about Admiral Conant's indictment and all these guys. Let's just start from 2018 when Weah came in. Everything else is washed on the bridge. Isn't this where the heat is coming from? And these people withdrew their own statement.
Yeah. Anyway, let me answer that this way. There were many things that were said during the election period. If you can remember Yeke Koluba, He said he will hold whosoever in the opposition, whether it was Cummings, whether it was Boakai, he will hold them accountable to bring all those people in the current administration who have done wrong to book. And he's going to hold them accountable. So we know there were statements made about going after ill-gotten money. And it was not made once. It was not made in secret. It was made several times. But this is where the rubber meets the road. I heard that this was one of the methods that they were going to use to try to recoup some money to run the country. So one of the methods is to go after the ill-gotten money and properties. So running, just what Cadmo alluded to it, governing is different than campaigning. And when you have to take into consideration paying salaries, servicing international debt, motivating people to produce where you're not giving them the necessary tools, and the equation changes. It's so easy for us to criticize, but then when you're responsible, the equation changes. I welcome the fact that they say they will bring expertise. My one criticism for Weah administration was, why are you not bringing very technical, highly skilled experts to your drawing board to help you drive this truck? Because this truck is a complicated truck to drive. But if they say they would bring that would be a good on their side, because it is not easy. If Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, with all her advanced education and knowledge and skills, it was challenged by it. And the challenges are not all from the opposition. Sometimes your own people in your own government challenge you.
But Jimmy,
sometimes you appoint somebody and they do,
Jimmy, let me push back.
So the challenges are many.
Let me push back. When you're talking about the expertise come with costs. And you and I saw the audit that were done when we said 25 billion were missing. The broad expert, you saw the cost. Okay, so now Joseph Boakai, to be honest, to be fair to Joseph Boakai, you want to bring in all these experts. Okay, where is the money to pay these experts? We're talking about the airport the other day. We're looking for airport manager, and we're talking about folks to come. People want the one, how they call it, the one relocation package, the one this, the one that. The money is not there. Where does Boakai get the money to bring all of these so-called experts that you are talking about? That'd be fair.
No, the people coming, the people they're patriots. You know, they're all patriots and they're coming work for free because they love Liberia so much.
Mr. Eastman, land on that second. I can go to Mr. Kamara.
I will land on it. I'd like to take my own self as an example. I'm in a position now I don't have to work anymore in my entire life. Okay. So somebody like me will be very willing to just give them free consultancy. Free, because I'm a country. I want to see it moving. In fact, I offered free consultancy but to the last administration. But for some reason, they push back against expertise. I never understood that. But who you would get to come to work for free, even if you're a patriot, unless you are financially all right, you will not. It'll be difficult. But there has to be a sacrifice, Jerome, for the country. So we will have to sacrifice if we want to push Liberia. So if that's the only way they come, then Joe Ellen said, let us stay in America. If you can't come suffer with us in Liberia, well, then fine. Stay in America and do your thing. But we have to sacrifice for the country, you know?
Excellent. Mr. Kamara.
Yes, sir.
We are talking about contradicting. Well, I won't say contradicting because when that note was flying around Facebook, I told the folks, it is not fair to attribute this to Joseph Boakai because any policy statement from a legitimate organization we have, the letterhead, all of the trappings of office, it wasn't there, so you should not do this. And 2 hours later, an official communication from the Joseph Boakai camp says what is going around that we are going to witch hunt people is false and it's a lie. Address that, because now that your group have officially made some clarity.
Yeah, but I think there's some things that just common sense, Mr. Gayman. You know, I'm not a very sophisticated man, so I don't spend too much time on things that are not relevant.
Come on.
You
Not
know,
come here with that stuff.
Mr. but Mr. Gayman, why would a political party put a letter up saying we will witch hunt, even if they wanted to do it? Why would they put a letter up saying that?
So you saying
Now,
they're being deceptive? They're not saying the true intentions?
No, he didn't say that.
No, because you say why would a political party say that when rather even if they intend to do it, they won't say it? Is that what you're saying, or just clarify it for us?
well, anyways, Mr. Gayman, if you look at that the letter that the Unity Party put up, the one you refer to as the official letter, the Unity Party intention is stipulated in that letter. But Unity Party the Unity Party will audit the CDC administration. That's point blank. And if anybody is found guilty, they will. I'm not saying they could. They will reform. It is part of the manifesto, and the Unity Party stand by that firmly. Now,
Okay.
people say, you know, what happened? There were audit done, and things were on the justice minister's desk, but that's where it's supposed to be. What did the justice minister do? Mr. Gayman, nothing, right? Now you're quiet. So, you know, some of those things, when you see me are quiet these days, you say, oh, Ali, you're too quiet, because some things, you can just waste my time. The thing is, I finished beating you, Mr. Gayman. I mean, it's done. Now, to think that, and Mr. Ismail is making some very great point. Now, we all must concentrate on governance. That's true. But when you look at CDC's struggle in this area of governance, and believe in yourself that the Unity Party is likely to go through the same thing, that means you don't know the Unity Party. The Unity Party have been in governance before. The Unity Party have proven records. And in fact, as I speak to you, when you talk about where would the Unity Party get the money from to pay these people, let me tell you, Liberian government ministers make the highest in that region in the Mano River Union. The highest right now, currently as we speak. Most of them make up to $7,000 a month.
So you cut their pay. You harmonize their pay.
No, I said I'm driving. I haven't even landed. You tell me what I would say. I have not gone to that point. So for someone like Mr. Ismail, for example, who has already worked enough in the United States, he has contributed his quota. Anything he's doing here now is just freestyling. And somebody say, okay, move home, which he will wish to go back home and not have to worry about all this stress, about all this unnecessary taxes and stuff. While you're home, somebody cook for you for a whole month, you only pay $100 and that person satisfied. You think Mr. Ismail not ready to go to work for $7,000? He's a big boy in Liberia. So for you to be thinking that CDC can afford to pay people in the government, but the United Party will not be able to afford to pay people in that government, maybe I understand. You stay in a campaign mode. I need you to come out of it.
Well, I've been honest here and being fair to the Boakai government, because I'm sitting in my office here, and when I hire folks based on the expertise, even retirees, when I bring them in, they are consultants. They still got the fees. You still have to pay them.
But I didn't say they were free. I said they even make up to $7,000. Liberian ministers. That's what I'm saying.
But everybody is not coming to Liberia as ministers.
But we're not hiring
because
we're not hiring everybody.
Listen, most of the job, the technocrats we are talking about.
But the technocrats don't make as much as the ministers. You know that.
I wouldn't want to go there because my electrician came over here.
$7,000. $7,000 a month. 1 second, Mr. Gayman. $7,000 a month in Liberia is a lot of money. But those people who are doing those work in the United States, it's not a lot of money.
So
these people are making $10,000, $12,000.
Compare the living condition of both places. If you pay $2,000, $3,000 for housing in Washington, D.C., and you pay $150 for a house in Liberia, and you're making $10,000 in Washington, D.C., and making $7,000 in Liberia, which one you prefer? Common sense.
Quality of life. Quality of life is an issue. But let
Okay.
me say
Go
this
to the
in
next
relation
question.
to Mr. Eastman. Look, you talking quality of life. You go to that JFK, you going to, or you rather go to John Hopkins in Washington, or you go to JFK for healthcare. It's a complete difference. But the point I'm trying to make, Mr. Eastman is not going to Liberia to go head the LEC as a minister of energy or whatever. That responsibility will be too much of a burden for a man who wants to enjoy his retirement. He wants to come and give you some consultancy on how to do one or two things, but he's not going to shoulder the burden of an entire ministry. That's the difference. So a person who's going to be in that ministry shouldering the entire burden of that ministry needs a lot more because they're going to be expected to do a lot more work. So Mr. Kamara talking people making 7,000, as minister, and trying to say that that's a lot of money. They get
Evans,
paid the most. No, hold on, let me finish. They get paid the most in the Mountain River Union, and thereby people from the United States will be, chomping at the bit to take their position because it's so much money. The point I'm trying to make is relative to people who are professional, it's not a lot of money. Even if you put it in the context of Liberia, where people don't have to pay rent and this and that, the quality of life is drastically different. When you get sick, you still have to get a
yeah,
plane
Evans,
ticket
wait
to come
now.
out. Hold on now, let me finish my thought, please. When you get sick, you still got to get on a plane ticket to come out to the United States to get the best health care. When you can't get 24-hour electricity that you've been used to for many years, when you got to be driving on pothole roads, it's not the same kind of living. So you're trading in a lot just to get $7,000 in Liberia, where you're making 12,000 here.
Let me just throw
It's not
something
very
in there
attractive.
quick.
That's why professional people on the Ellen Johnson Sally were making $20,000. Some of them double their paycheck they were making in the United States just to go back to Liberia.
Yeah,
That's what's going to happen on a Joseph
let me
lifetime
throw
to
something
get
in
the
there for
best of
you
the
quick.
brightest. But go
Yeah,
ahead.
go ahead.
I'll turn it over to you.
You can go to
That Nathaniel
hold on 1
Barnes,
minute. Hold on 1 minute, Chief. Ladies and gentlemen, the lines are open. You can call right after Mr. Kamara's speech. You can call and we can interact. We got about 20 more minutes to go here. We want to make sure that you get your word in. The telephone number is 772-940-2871. Or you can call Jimmy. Gentlemen, put your telephone number so we can go. Yeah, go ahead, Kamara, please land.
tell this young man that he know that the finance minister under Charles Taylor made less than $2,000 a month, Nathaniel Barnes, and he's one of
Yeah,
the
because we're on a sanction.
let me
They couldn't
finish.
afford it.
Let me finish.
Go ahead, sorry.
Nathaniel Barnes did not have to be in Liberia to live. Nathaniel Barnes could have gone to the IMF. He could have gone to the World Bank. He could have gone to the African Development Bank. Nathaniel Barnes chose to go to Liberia to work for under $2,000. Did you know that the former bank governor under Ellen Johnson Sirleaf administration did not have to go to Liberia to work? You know that there are a lot of people, even in the CDC administration right now, that did not have to go to Liberia to work. They didn't have to. Some people want to serve. Hundreds of Liberians around the diaspora who wants to serve. And I can tell you right now, right within the United Party, do you know how many people from the IMF and the World Bank and other places that are currently in Liberia right now at Joseph Boakai's place, ready to get this country going? So that's you talking, America, I understand that. But you will always find these qualified people. The government to ever pay anybody as high as $18,000, $20,000 was early. But Liberia has produced some of the best academicians to serve in government. We have some of the best technicians that serve in government, even under George Weah, even though they've been downplayed and ignored. And some of them was canceled, but they're there. Some of them, a lot of them are still living in Liberia.
Mr. Kamara, I know you say you don't want to work in government, but just a hypothetical question, and please answer it honestly. Whatever amount of money you're making right now on a monthly basis, will you go to Liberia and make that same amount of money and take a government job?
What I make here, if I was interested in government and you offered that to me in Liberia, I'll go to Liberia the next day. Don't even pay for my ticket. I'll buy my own ticket. Don't buy my ticket for me.
No, and that's the problem. One thing is giving people to the lines. That's the problem. That's why you see Ellen made that statement that a lot of these people were transitory, because people look at it as an easy payday. You want to pay. Hold on now. Hold on. Wait now. I'm getting to a point. You look at it. You look at it as an easy payday. Why? Because you have people who are making, 10,000. Ellen try to recruit them for 15, 17, 18,000. So it looks more attractive to them. thinking that when they get paid these huge salaries, it's going to curb corruption because they're going to be getting paid sometimes more than they're supposed to get paid. But people who are rushing there, they're not just going there with good intentions. That's what you have to understand. Some of them are going there because they know they
Okay,
can
well,
steal.
we're
Yeah,
preempting now. Let's go to the
they
line.
can steal. They can steal and get away with it. And a lot of them did it on the Ellen Johnson leave and came out to the United States and left for government and came back and paid off their mortgages in less than 5 years. Mortgages are supposed to take 30 years to pay off in less than 5. So I'll give it back to you, Mr. Gayman.
Great. Ladies and gentlemen, lines are open. Jimmy Eastman, if you have your number, you can put it up there. The number you can call now is 772-940-2871, and that is direct. You don't have to put in any code. If you have a question for Mr. Eastman, myself, Mr. Kamara, we are here and able to do that. While we at it, let me go through the line here and recognize some new folks' names I have never seen before here. We got Eddie Jopamu, we got Alva Noah Benka, we got Steve Kirsch. I hope I'm pronouncing that name right. Actual Factual. We got Lucid Pan. Lucid
Oh,
Pan
yeah.
is here.
Mhm.
Sam Wallow, one of our favorite, I always hear. Thank you for tuning in. In fact, let me put Wallow picture here before he come here before he kills me. We have Vamuya and Fofana, thank you for tuning in. Nora Khan, thank you for tuning in. Joshua DeMeo, thank you. Anthony Gay, obviously you should have been on here. Victoria Marquin Davis, thank you very much. Gary Reed, is that Reed? R-E-E-D? Yeah, Reed. Numenu Danaka. We have.
You sure you librarian? Me, not for that librarian name, Mr. Gayman.
Hey, listen, some of the name. Amula Mame. So we
I'm
got.
man from New Jersey, man. I'm about to.
Listen, that's right. And I'm more concerned with the new people, not Anthony Gay and Wallow. But gentlemen, we got 10 minutes here to be here. Let's look at
What's the number again? See if people will call. I think some people want to call.
the number is here. Let me post it in the number here. That's 772 940-2871. That's it.
Okay.
Okay, we got it here. Let me post that.
Yeah, just to the audience, we're trying to make sure that this show will be more participatory
Okay,
to the audience.
Okay, hold on. Hello, your name and where you calling from?
Yeah, hello.
Yes, go ahead. You are on live. Your name and where you calling from?
I'm calling from Massachusetts, Worcester, Massachusetts.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I just want to touch base with you guys. Thank you very much for your show. I appreciate it. But what I want to my take on the whole show here about the incoming administration, if it is officially announced on Monday, Mr. Boakai is a winner according to the constitutional mandate. But my question to you here, who is representing the government, I don't know, Mr. Kamara, is what do you think? What is your take on the administration of Mr. Boakai? If you were part of an administration for 12 years as vice president, and they left the government and turned it over with a deficit in government national reserve, and they're coming back to power with the kind of crowd are behind him. What do you think the kind of government within the first 100 days, Mr. Boakai going to form that will reflect the will of people of Liberia when we talk about good governance?
Thank you very much.
That's number one.
Okay.
What do you think? Do you think the president of Liberia most of the time is the problem in the governance of Liberia or the system in which they operate during the governance time.
Thank you. Mr. Kamara? I think it's a general question, but they pointed to you first, so go ahead.
Yeah, well, first of all,
Mr. Gayman, highlight the phone number, please, before Mr. Kamara come in.
Mm-hmm.
what our caller needs to understand is this is 2023. 2017, there was an election where Joe Boakai lost. This is 2023. Joe Boakai has won. Going forward, that's what I want to concentrate on. I can answer it.
I think the spirit of the caller's question was that you have all these people that are coming behind you that want government job. You came, you use up all the country money, you left it almost bankrupted. Now you're coming back with all the quote unquote academician, as you call it. You think you'll leave it even in the worst state than you left it before? Look at the people that are coming behind.
Please answer the question.
look at the people that are coming behind you. Better Brani Samuka, a convicted felon who stole from the Ministry of Defense, stole from the army people. It's coming on, one of your main advisors. No, Mr. Kamara, I was saying I won't wait for Mr. Gayman. Look at the disgraced former chief, the disgraced former justice, Kabilan Jani, who's coming on your coattails as well. Go ahead, Mr. Gayman. I'll turn it over to you.
Mr. Kamara, he's hitting you hard. You want to hear
that? Answering that question.
Let Mr. Pambo and Mr. Ismail talk about it.
Mr. Padmo, take a job at it. The caller want to make sure.
Look, that's governance. That's governance. We'll see what happens. When Henry Costa was explaining his Unity Party ordeal, he said that Joseph Boakai told him, somebody told him that Henry Costa wanted to kill him when he came to America to do we have also seen people that provided, personal messages between Joe Boakai and them, for example, Edwin Snow. When Joe Boakai told he said, one monkey can stop the show.
Okay, gentlemen, 1 minute. Your name and where you calling from, sir?
We're not hearing that, man.
Yeah, go ahead. Your name, where you calling from?
I say I'm Teddy K. Lion Yakom. I'm from North Dakota.
Go ahead.
Yeah, well, we listened to our president today. Anyway, I serve as global chairman for Tree of City Authorities, and more especially in District Number 9 in Lima County, where the problem took place. There was my man really performed, both lies, and imagine they voted for the president, but then there was a foul play. They took the ballot by said they hit it. But I have for tomorrow, the NEC might get final results on that. But I just want to ask a question to Mr. Kamara in the studio, now representing Unity Party. We are in the opposition now, and trust me, we are the diehard physicians. We are saying we will never move beyond our president. We are more encouraged to support this president, and the president has taken the rightful decision based on the intricacy of the complex society of Liberia, where they understand things. It was good that the president he concede and let it be. But I just want to let the United Party people. Okay, let me post my question on the camera. We're Joseph Boakai, because one of the issues that Liberia people want investigation on auditing governments, all that, and also war crimes. With Joseph Boakai being committed to the war crimes and take Prince Johnson to send for war crimes or what have you, we send Prince Johnson out there. And secondly, again, I just want to give a warning that, and I want to appeal to the United Party people. We the physicians, we never kill y'all. Y'all been killing us. We're in the oppositions. We got killed by United Party. We're in the leadership. We got killed by United Party partisan. It's like it pushes somebody on the wall. And when the person reaches to the wall, there's nowhere they have to bounce back. I'm saying it to say that you guys give us chance to protest, because we will be protesting against things that may be contrary to the understanding of Liberian people. So if you guys, we got to give one a chance and be responsible, be civilized, just the way CDC and President Weah are civilized enough to give you guys freedom.
Thank you.
You guys give us the chance to protest, because if you don't give us the chance to protest, if you think you will come start killing us again, then I think you wish me you're not scared the Liberian people, and then you won't put the Liberian people into predicament.
Thank you.
This thing tell I
Thank you. Thank you very much. Mr. Kamara, that question was to you.
Okay, well, question.
Let me just say this. Liberia, your right to protest is inalienable. Nobody, no government in Liberia can stop that. The possibility of that was seized in 2005 after the war. Okay? So you have your right to protest as long as you do not violate other people's rights in the process. Okay? Like right now, we're gonna have a responsible government, a responsible society, a free society for all. You cannot hold anybody hostage. We are.
I mean, I hope that now tradition you bring in.
Your name and where you calling from?
Mr. Gayman, Alex Menebo, calling from Minnesota, sir.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, and this is my first time calling on your show.
Thank you.
Yeah, I didn't want to respond to that last call asking you this party that if Joseph Boakai government will establish war crime code. What about CDC? That spent 6 years. Why they couldn't bring the war crime code and talking about war crime code? That's hypocrisy. What do you mean about that? We think about economic development. We think about reducing drugs in our country. We think about war crime code every time. They go back to the legislature. And not Joseph Boakai. You were there. We didn't talk about it. But because you're thinking to go back to the act about it. Thank you for forgiving. That's what I want to say.
Okay. So, Mr. Padbo, take a stab at this one. Take a stab at this one. They want too much from me.
What I mean said, Jenna, the excuse that he gave as a Unity Party supporter, that's exactly what Weah said. And all of what Weah said, you want welcome Chronicle, you go to the legislature. I already sent the people there for them. You know, and now that is the excuse that people are going to make. But we knew once Prince Johnson came on board, we knew that what council was dead. That whole topic was dead. That dead case. Every government from now will pass the buck until all the other year will die. Then the young children will say that thing there, our long term thing there, will now move forward. Case closed. There was a call before that started talking about Unity Party people, and they wanted red to protest. You know something? The hot water truck is now a partisan truck. The hot water truck is now a partisan truck. Once you get in the street, you feed it. So once you prepare to feed it, you like there. You know? Mr.
Padmo, let me just piggyback on what you said quickly here. Look, I will give a prime example of Joe Biden, right? Joe Biden wanted to, cancel student debt. Some of us who got student debt were happy about that because we, it would take somebody, it would take away some of our debt. But he couldn't do it unilaterally. He had to go through the Congress, and the Supreme Court had, approving that he had to pass. He had to go through Congress. And I think people who are asking this question about the War Crimes Court, they should be asking their, elected representative to promise them that if they go there, they're going to vote for it, bring it on the floor. And then you vote for them based on that policy point. But President Weah knew when he got in office that he couldn't just give an executive order and establish the court. It had to go through the legislature, and that's what he found out. And he wrote. He didn't say, "I'm not going to send it forward." He wrote and asked the legislature to try to establish the court, and they refused to do so because there were few people in the legislature who were who took part in the war, who were also corrupt and culpable for economic crimes. So if Liberian people really wanted, they have to elect people who have promised to fight for the War Economic Crimes Court once they get there, and then also a president who is willing to implement it when the legislature vote for it. So it's a two-pronged approach to get war crimes court. It's not just the president who can unilaterally, take that decision. It has to be both the president, the executive, and the legislative branch of government. So I think people need to understand that.
We got 5 minutes. While you were speaking, just go ahead and do your closing.
I'll just make that my closing. I don't want to take up too much time. I just think what we had there was good. We should applaud him for it. We're looking forward to the Unity Party, government coming into the fold. And I think the reason why Mr. Kamara is kind of quiet and a little bit, low energy, he kind of realized the magnitude of being in position, so to speak, and how much we're going to criticize him and beat on him on the show. So he just know what's coming for him in the next 6 years. That's why he's quiet, because he's looking at a bigger picture. He's like, damn. The guys will not let me rest. Anything that United Party do, every time I come in on Sunday, they're gonna be on my neck. And rest assured, we will be on your neck. So I think that's why he's thinking about. He's seeing the light flashing before him right now. That's why he's kind of quiet and reminiscing.
Mr. Kamara, your 1 minute, please.
Yeah, let me just tell you why I'm a little low energy. I take a stem cell pill for my eye, and it kind of suppresses my.
No. The whole 6 years we've been running campaign, you don't take no stem cell. Now the election is over, your feet to the fire now. We're not talking to your eye, we're talking to your ear.
So it kind of suppresses my immune system, so it makes me a little laid back. No. But here's the thing. Let me just show the color. If any legislation comes from your House of Legislature to appear on the desk of Honorable JMB with respect to war and economic crimes, remember this date today. JMB will sign it. JMB will sign it. Remember, we have a parliamentary system. We have a Republican form of government. JMB cannot order the justice administration. Remember, there are clauses in the Constitution of Liberia that also put hindrance to the issue called war and economic crimes. Executive order cannot do it. It can be struck down. So go to the right people, get the right lawyers, let them advise you on the legal ramifications of those things at this point in time. What is the status of limitation? So many things. I'm not a lawyer, So, but we're hoping that Liberia can have justice regardless. We all are victims of the war. Liberia can have justice, but let it not just be about President Johnson. When anybody talk about war crime court, it's about President Johnson. CDC defended President Johnson against war crime court. Now President Johnson support Joseph Boakai, the one war crime court, just because of President Johnson. Now we're not going to do that kind of witch hunting. Okay. Thank you so much for having me, Mr. Gayman. It has been a wonderful show. We are focused on governance. A lot of people are still stuck about the 12 years of the Unity Party. During those 12 years, Joseph Boakai was not the head of the team. Now Joseph Boakai is the head of the team. Let us see what he's going to do. Thank you.
Mr. Padmore, your 1 minute. And please, in there, Joseph Boakai promised on the campaign trail that he was going to, from the executive branch, he was going to introduce a bill for the establishment of economic war and crime code. Now,
is that what he
said? Today, I'm seeing the reverse, that if it comes from the lower house, he will sign it. Go ahead. 1 minute.
Well, yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Look, I think with the tension that was built in the country on Friday and all of the warmongering, I think it was great what President Weah did. I think it let go of that tension. It let the air out of the balloon. It allowed people to relax. It allowed seditions to relax. It allowed United partisans that expected President Weah to cheat, to relax. I think it really relaxed the country. I think it was great for the country. I think it if nothing else will be his legacy, it will be the fact that he was defeated and he gracefully turned over power without arguing, without fighting. We can talk about, what United Party did, but let's be honest. 2017, United Party went to court. They didn't just concede. United Party did not concede. They went to court. They joined, what his name, Councillor Bromsky, and they went to court, even though they were the sitting party.
They were not president, though.
United Party was a ruling party, and United Party went to court.
Yeah,
it was only when people were talking about violence, that's when Joseph Boakai made a famous statement, like, bro, I'm going because I won't be president. and that's when he conceded. So come on now. At least President Weah didn't wait for the ballots to finish counting. He said, let's do it now. I think if anything else, that would be his legacy. People always remember him for that. When it comes to the United Party, look, you guys play your cards well. Your team are victorious. Now it's time to govern, and we will be watching.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, we want to see the first group of appointments. We will be there to vet them strategically. And we want to see change, and we're hoping. I'm not very confident in the party, but there's hope. I'm hoping that the old man will look at this as his legacy and say, no, the player I reached now, God has blessed me here. Let me leave something that Liberians can be proud of. I really hope that is the case.
Mr. Famo, what would you say if Joseph Boakai appoint Brownie Samuka a felon in his government? What would you say about that appointment?
Well,
I will critique that.
Definitely.
One minute, guys.
Go ahead.
Let me take one more caller. Your name and where you calling from, real quick.
Yes, Emmanuel Jackson, calling from Boston.
Okay, go ahead, Jackson.
Yeah, I just want to say now that our democracy has matured by the conceding of President Weah, he's taking a very bold step to give our democracy a boost in what our election is all about. Somebody has to concede. So it's not down for the country. And I think we should move forward now to be more focused on economic developments of Liberia. What we witnessed is a tremendous victory for all the struggles Liberia went through from the 70s, the 80s, the 90s. And now we are at a place where we can say our democracy has achieved a great step with what President Weah did. So let's use that momentum and try to work with the Unity Party and also including Sidisha and others, and let's try and build this country. This country is a small country. We have the expertise. I think if we put it in the right place and do the right thing, we can make our country a beacon of light in West Africa, as we have struggled to help many African countries to gain their independence. Why should we be always allowing ourselves to be backward? So that's my only comment. I think President Weah did a tremendous job. It's never happened like this, as someone said, happened in the 1800s, I think. But this is a very big step for our achievement for the 21st century. So let's try and rally around Vice President Boakai and his team and try to get some development going, like paving the road in the southeast and building up our schools, our institution, education improvement, Tubman College, all the university, all the colleges that were built around the country. We need to upgrade them so we can give our people more opportunity to bring their ingenuities to work, so we can be a nation of good men and women, civilized, and helping this world to develop. We were part of the legal nation. We were part of everything that made the world a better country in the 20th century. Let's try and do our best now and put our country back in place where we can say the future of our children will be well off. That's all I have to say.
Mr. Gayman, I recommend you bring that man on that Sunday.
Thank
That's
you very
another
much.
question.
Mr. Eastman, your 1 minute, please.
Yes, they have a saying from the Desiderata. It says, whether or not it is clear to you, there's no doubt the universe is unfolding as it should. We come from a ways, so since 1980, where we had the coup and we had a military turnover, to emerging ourselves into a full-out civil war, to having a interim president. Then we had established a government with the UP with Ellen Johnson as the head at the helm. And then we transitioned to a most popular hero of our country in George Weah. Our democracy is slowly maturing, as it should. We are setting an example. What I'm looking forward to hearing in the next few days. I want to hear the plan, just how the CDC came up with the PAPD. I want to hear the UOP plan because you see, we have to work under an umbrella, a framework under which we would develop. Without that, we won't have anything to measure against. And one of the
ARREST.
you put that into action, we will see
The
how that.
Jet and IRS our president. So
Yeah.
Come on now.
So in the coming days, and it's one thing being in control of something and being part of the team. When you're in control, it's a whole different ball game. So I think it's exciting for all of us Liberians. So we're looking forward to the maturity of the UP party now, and if they govern correctly, I think that you have Liberians fall right in line. I think the CDC has learned a vital lesson in its young age. It was a vital lesson they learned, and they'll be ready, stronger next time around.
South.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, one caveat. There's a gentleman by the name of John Conaway. It's your first time on here. We appreciate you, but we do not use those kinds of languages. And the next time you use them, we are going to block you. This is a party, a platform of educated, serious people who have the language under control. So if your vocabulary is not rich enough, don't comment. If you're going to write, just write your name.
Oh, Mr. Gayman.
Don't call here and use abusive languages. I put that up because you are one of a kind, but it's not going to happen again. Okay, now my turn. Let's be clear here. Somebody wrote and says that Liberia once had democracy. Let me make it loud and clear. Liberia have never had democracy. This is our first democracy. This is whatever you say happened in 1847 was not democracy. Happened in 1844 was not democracy. 1960 was not democracy.
Mr. Gayman, 1 minute. Mr. Gayman, 1 minute.
Yes.
People are listening. There's a lot of people that come here to learn. You can't say it was not democracy. It was just another form of democracy.
Well,
democracy cannot just be defined as what the Americans consider it to be. There are different forms of democracy.
Democracy, if you have a democracy that appears to only one group of people, that is not
let me say this. It was a biased democracy, but it was democracy. They had election among themselves. They had election among themselves. But it was democracy. It was not the best democracy.
Mr. Kamara, thank you very much. That is not a democracy that we know. The word Demo means the people. Okay? It means the people. If you say these other people are not involved, these other people are then it's not democracy.
That was wrong.
Yeah, but in 1777, was it a democracy in America?
I'm not talking about America.
Oh no, but
now you're talking about America.
Because they excluded women, they excluded black people, they excluded Indians. None of those people are allowed to vote.
Was that right?
The oldest democracy.
Listen, was that right?
No, it was wrong. That's what I'm telling you. It was still democracy.
Mr. Gayman's point is that it was an incomplete democracy. It was incomplete.
Mr. Eastman, was it right?
It was not right.
No, okay. So then it was not right. It wasn't right. It wasn't right here. It wasn't right in Liberia either. So this is what we are saying. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think President Weah is the winner here. Never in my lifetime that I have seen, even a letter from the U.S. Embassy, from Nigeria, the former leader of Nigeria, everybody, in fact, the ECOWAS chair says that this exercise of democracy in Liberia should be the model. Then she made a comment and said, look what happens in Africa. People are changing their constitution overnight for third terms. And she turned to the Ivory Coast, she turned to Burkina Faso, she turned to Guinea, And look, that fiasco that happened in Sierra Leone, where the president said nobody would campaign, nobody would do anything. Before they could count the ballot, he was pronounced the winner. Same thing in Nigeria. Before they could count the ballot, they said the VAR machine that was put in place, he said, a malfunction. So they read the result from an envelope and said Tinubu won. These are the things that we are talking about. Now we have a foundation upon which Liberians and Africa as a whole can now say democracy has a chance. And Liberia has always been the first. We are the first. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for tuning in, your calls and your comments. For all of our new folks here, I see a lot of new folks. Thank you very much. And we say kudos to you. We have another show coming up. We say if it's 4 o'clock on Sunday, it is on point. And we have Mr. Eastman here. We got Mr. Morris. We got Mr.
One shout out quick. One shout out to Lucy Kwan. I think she's a great new addition to our platform. And shout out to my uncle, attorney Joseph Gavoyi Bernard. I know he's watching. Kudos to you, uncle. Thank you, Mr. Gayman. Just want to put a shout out.
Before we go, Mr. Padmore, do you see anybody here new from your end that you need to recognize? Mr. Jimmy, keep looking too. Anybody that you see there?
Oh, they man for the shout out. No. I haven't seen anybody. Oh, but you know, I did notice that Saint Wallow is back.
Oh Lord,
he was late.
He never went anywhere. Mr. Eastman, anybody?
They may went quiet. They may went quiet for a minute.
Yeah, he was scared.
Yeah, our buddy is back again. I think going Fix Electronics.
Yeah,
yeah. We like his input. Let him keep on coming.
That's right.
You know, it gives us a lift.
Messino, Macia, thank you very much. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, see you next Sunday. And as we always say, Mr. Eastman, you going to our song?
Yes.
Let's go to our
as we always say, no matter what your party is, right? No matter what your religious affiliation, we, are all Liberians.
Liberians.
We are Liberians.